to episode 43 of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. Obviously, Nick is not here, but as you can see, this is our first MLB team review before the 2021 season. Now, if you guys remember last year, we did a few teams last season before the year started, so this is now for upcoming season. And you will probably recognize this familiar face here, ladies and gentlemen. The red beard and the Yankee cap. It can only mean one person, Brett Labor. Brett, how are you doing tonight?
Very, very good, Lucas. Very happy to be here talking about my Yanks and giving me some hype for a new season. Let's do this.
Now, last year, obviously, we were making predictions based off of thinking it was going to be a 162-game season. Well, take off about 100 games off of that, and that's about the amount of games we actually had last year. So we'll just get right into the swing of things here. Starting off with the Yankees, last season finishing second place in the AL East with a record of 33-27. Brett, I'm just going to come out first off and say it. Injuries, once again, were another issue for the Yankees.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like we can't catch a break, can we? It just seems like a bigaboo is Judge and Stanton, and it was Severino early on. That was even back before there was a pandemic. And it's just like, I just want to see what we can do when we have a full strength. Am I right?
No, I agree 100%. I think you and I, if I remember correctly, both predicted that we thought the Yankees would probably win somewhere around 100 games and be competing for a World Series title. Now, obviously, with there not being a 162-game season, they can't win 100 games. But nonetheless, even with the shortened season, we kind of figured that they still would probably be one of the best teams in the league record-wise. Didn't quite pan out that way, but nonetheless, were still able to find their way into the postseason magic. New York Yankees. So give me a recap of how the season went, Brett, and then going into the postseason.
Well, if we're talking about, with the injuries and stuff, last season I had high hopes, and then we kind of got beat up a little bit. We were one of the first other teams to also have COVID-related problems when we scheduled the Orioles and the Phillies. And so we kind of just had kind of a wonky schedule, Lucas. And it ended up being we were kind of 500 for a while, actually. And I was like, okay, we don't actually have a lot of time here, boys, to get ourselves ready here because it's only a shortened season because we were like 12-12 or whatever. And then we kind of got fired. We won, what was it, like 9 out of 10. And it ended up being a solid season, second behind the Tampa Bay Rays. And I just wanted to get in because I knew if we could get in the postseason, we could do our damage. Win and survive in advance, as we've heard other teams reference that before. And once we got into that postseason, we got our guys back, a lot of guys back. Yeah. Giancarlo Stanton being one of them. Judge was healthy, and we started to see what we could do, actually. Very easily beat the Indians. And then when we got to the divisional series, the Tampa Bay Rays really surprised me and showed that even with lack of experience, they could beat us in a neutral site. And props to them. But it's okay season for a pandemic, COVID season. Second place, made it to LDS, went to Game 5. Right. So it was all right.
So obviously the goal of every team, and especially once you make the playoffs, is to win the World Series. That's obviously the end goal of every team in Major League Baseball. So, factoring in everything that the Yankees dealt with last year, considering with COVID, injuries and such, and not really having a full healthy lineup for the whole season, are you pleased with how the Yankees finished the year? Obviously, you mentioned losing in the ALDS to Tampa. Mm-hmm. Or do you think they still should have been a team that at least played in the World Series?
I thought we still had the talent to go to the World Series. Everyone was dealing with the shortened season, so you can kind of forget about that. But I really thought that with our talent in the postseason, we could have made a run to the World Series. We were just one game away from going to the ALCS. No doubt in my mind
Right.
we were going to beat Houston. I think we would have been motivated to beat a Houston Astros team that, quite frankly, was lucky to be there with their record in a shortened season. So I
Right.
definitely, my expectations were World Series last year and their World Series expectations this year as well. I just think that maybe I wasn't as crushed as a fan last season just because I was like, you know what, this season is crazy. I'll take what I could get just because I like baseball. I'll just take
Right.
what I could have. I like to see our team play. But World Series is always the expectation, whether it's shortened or full season.
Right. Absolutely. And you hit it right on the head there. The expectation is to win the World Series every year. And when you have a team like the Yankees, your expectations are the World Series, not just hopes and dreams about it. That should be the end goal for a team like that. So obviously, yeah, like you mentioned, losing to Tampa, going into the offseason now, the biggest question mark was, are the Yankees going to bring back DJ? It seemed like DJ LeMahieu, that is, for the people who may not know who DJ is, DJ LeMahieu. That was kind of the big question mark for the Yankees. Obviously, the Yankees their names are always on free agents. It does not matter if they are seriously considering them or not. It seems like if there is a big name free agent player, the Yankees name is somehow linked to them. Now,
Right.
DJ on the Yankees, questions if he wasn't going to be able to return or not. They thought, oh, DJ, maybe he's going to go to the Mets. Maybe he's going to go to the Dodgers. Maybe he's going to go to another team. But at the end of the day, Toronto. Yeah, maybe at the end of the day, though, DJ LeMahieu came back to the Yankees. So, Brett, take me through your thoughts into the offseason around DJ LeMahieu. First off, I guess the first question is, did you have any doubt that DJ wasn't going to come back? And then after that, give me your thoughts throughout the entire offseason leading up to the point when DJ actually signed back with the Yankees.
Well, I really didn't have much doubt because I knew how excited he was. He wanted to return, and I always get kind of giddy when players say, "Oh, I'd like to return," because that tells me we could probably work a deal out somehow. There's motivation on both sides, and he's a great player, second in MVP voting, if I'm not mistaken. And so I really wasn't nervous in late October. And then the months grew by, Lucas, and I started to get a little nervous. Like, why is this taking so long? I think this player's worth the money. I think we got the money. I don't want to go over the luxury tax that much, but I felt like there was motivation to get a deal done. And so my hopes went from I'm very likely that I think we can sign him to I got a little nervous in January. But then I knew that something would happen because I just felt like the season's coming up and here we go and we got a good deal with him. And I'm glad you got me on your podcast here, Lucas, after the fact that we got him, because now I'm not nervous anymore. So I'm here with a smile on my face because that's a win-win deal. 6 years, $90 million. It's a win-win deal. I really like it. And so the moments leading up to that, my take was this free agency was get DJ back, and I'm happy. Yeah. So we got DJ back. I'm very happy. If the season started tomorrow, I'd be very happy with where we were at. And even if DJ didn't come back, which would be a big loss, I have confidence in our guys. But the fact of the matter is that when you have a player like him that you can put on the top of your lineup, good things can happen. And the Yankees proved that DJ wanted to come back. At the end of the day, we wanted him, and we got a deal done. And I think that now I can rest happy knowing that we got a good squad.
Absolutely, yeah. No, you phenomenal answer, by the way. That was great. So 6 years, $90 million, like you mentioned, were the specifics of DJ's contract. I kind of already know the answer to that just because DJ obviously played on the Rockies, but it's not the Rockies podcast. It's the New York Yankees. He's a Yankee now, so this is your question here. But do you think that the Yankees would have how I guess, because the Yankees have never been a team afraid to spend money. That's the evil empire for a reason, right?
Yes.
So how much would you have been willing to give DJ let's say if the 6 years, 90 million, he didn't like that, how much would you have gone?
Well, I know you how big of a DJ fan you are, Lucas. So
Yeah.
it's fun to talk about with you. I would have gone, man, as much as for his caliber, 120 million,
Yeah.
which would, I guess, annual average value would be 20 million over 6 years. So I'd be comfortable around 120 million. I try not to go over that just because this isn't the days of Steinbrenner, Lucas, where you can
Right.
just go and throw a bunch of money and be like millions of dollars in debt. I don't like to do that. I think Cashman's been smarter about that lately.
Yeah.
Brian Cashman, GM. So I would have gone up to 120, and then we could work the rest of it out later. And once you get into 130, 140, it gets a little too high. So 120 would have been the max for me.
Yeah, I probably would agree with that too. Staying on the DJ train here, obviously, once again, an MVP finalist. Do you think next year is the year DJ cracks through and maybe wins an MVP for your team?
I hate to be biased here, but this is my podcast. So
yeah, but go ahead.
I think yes, because here's why. You got to Mike Trout obviously is a name that's going to pop up. That guy is a baseball player at his core. He likes to play baseball. But I think if we're playing 162 games, I think his numbers are going to be outstanding. I think this guy can really bat 340, 350 throughout the entire year, Lucas. And he's a hitting machine. He's batting leadoff. He actually stays healthy too. Thank you for Mr. LeMahieu for being one of the guys to stay healthy recently. I think he can win MVP. I think he could hit 30 bombs, 110 ribbies. And with that short porch and his power and his ability to stay healthy, it's going to come down to him, Trout, maybe someone from the White Sox. And I really do think he can win.
Brett, obviously you mentioned the average. DJ LeMahieu's best average season, 2016, he hit 348 for the year. So he is certainly capable of doing that. A career 305 hitter in the time he's been in the league here. So one of the best hitters in the game. As much as for me, from a Rockies fan, that I hated seeing him go, because honestly, I think that is a ginormous reason why the Rockies have sucked the last couple seasons, is because DJ has not been there.
Right.
I knew, though, and I didn't want him to go to the Yankees just because it's the Yankees, but at the end of the day, I'm happy that he did, because now he's getting the notoriety and he's getting the respect that he, quite frankly, never got in Colorado because no one took him serious.
I completely agree with that, because I knew DJ because he went to All-Star games. I was like, who's this second baseman from Colorado? Okay, he's got a great average. But I thought he was more of this short little hitter, not a lot of power. And we get him. He's a tall, lanky guy who's got spot-up power. I think he has more power, and maybe it's from the Yankee Stadium. He's hit more home runs here than he did ever in Colorado, and they even have thin air. Sorry, Lucas. So his power numbers have gone up. And I also like about DJ, you said you're happy for him, and which you should be. You should also be happy for him because of this. He's having a lot of fun in New York. And it's just nice to see your favorite players, or once upon a time your favorite players, have fun with who the team they're on. And he's getting notoriety. Like you mentioned, MVP, went to an all-star game. People are talking about him. And I think now he might be one of the best players in the game.
I agree with that a lot. The next question I want to give you, and then we'll move off of DJ here, is positions. Now, obviously, in Colorado, strictly a second baseman. He didn't play anywhere else. The Yankees have kind of moved him around a little bit. They played him at DH at times, second base, first base. Do you think next season they kind of go with that and just kind of play? Obviously, regardless of the situation, DJ is going to be in the lineup. But do you think next season they give him more of a specific role, saying, hey, you are going to be our everyday second baseman? Or do you think they kind of keep going with the platooning, put him kind of wherever they need him in that day?
It's going to go week to week, month to month with that. He's going to be starting at second base. We'll keep Gleyber at shortstop, Gleyber Torres. So he'll be our everyday second baseman. And I say week to week, day to day, because it comes back to injuries again. How healthy can our guys be if Luke Voigt goes down? All right,
Yeah.
DJ plug and play first base. Gio Urshela or Ursula, as I call him, he gets hurt, plugging him at third base. He's going to be our starting second baseman, and that's where he's going to start. The nice thing about him is when those injuries come down, we talked about that earlier, then we move him around to different spots when those injuries occur, and we got to plug and play, and Aaron Boone's got to get creative. But he'll start at second base this season for sure.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that too. I think, anytime you can have a player like that is versatile, that can put him at different positions and still compete wherever he's at, that's big time. So we'll move off of DJ, move over to the other free agent signing that the Yankees made, signing pitcher Corey Kluber to a 1-year, $11 million contract. Obviously, this guy at one point was one of the best pitchers in the game, and there's no
absolutely
there's no denying that. Cy Young winner as well too, for the Cleveland Indians when he was there. The last season, a bit of injury concerns. The last 2 years combined, he has 36 and 2/3 innings pitched. But and last season with Texas, he threw 1 inning and was injured and didn't play the rest of the season.
Oh, wow.
So, Brett, what are you expecting from Corey Kluber? He's going to be 35 years old. Do you still think that he can be that same ace pitcher that he was for Cleveland?
If we can get an ace pitcher from the days of past, I'd be absolutely ecstatic. Now, is that my expectation? Probably not, as much as I would like that. I'm looking for a guy with Corey Kluber. If we could just get him to be get him like 10-6, or plus and minus, more wins than losses, ERA in the 3s, or low 4s at best, I'd be happy with that. I just want to see him stay healthy. I want to see him be someone we can rely upon for the postseason, which, Lucas, that's the biggest thing for me. Can you pitch in the postseason? Can you stay healthy enough? Because that's been our bugaboo, even though I think our offense has struggled in the postseason. So my expectation, I guess, would be, if we're talking 162-game season, how about 10-6, 3.62 ERA, stays healthy? That would be my expectation for a guy like Corey Kluber, and anything close to his days in Cleveland is an absolute bonus, and then that means we got to steal.
Pitching has kind of been a little question of concern for the Yankees. Not so much that they have guys that are, not good. It's more of kind of like you mentioned, the injury situation. Severino hasn't been healthy. Tanaka hasn't been healthy. Paxton has been on and off the disabled list. So pitchers, the ones that you have, they're good. They are good pitchers. There's no denying that. So I'm excited to see what Kluber is able to do this season. And if he is even half of what he was in Cleveland, that the $11 million, teams are probably going to be wondering why he didn't pay him more.
Absolutely.
So that's huge. Also, you got to think too, for a guy, like Severino, who has had times where he has looked really good, and times that he has really struggled. I think for Corey Kluber, how much of a role do you think Kluber will be taking on as kind of maybe being that mentor for Severino? Now, Severino obviously is not a rookie. It's not like he's barely been in the league. But winning 2 Cy Youngs and bringing that to the rotation, how huge do you think that could be for Severino?
Oh, I think it could be instrumental with Kluber and Severino, who, by the way, Luis, he's got to get healthy. And in fact, I'm nervous about him being someone that can stay healthy enough for the rest of his career. It's been a couple seasons. But Lucas, if I may, let me step out of the box a little bit here with Kluber. I think that you mentioned Kluber being a leader. How about him being a leader for a guy like Davey Garcia or Clark Schmidt, who are up-and-coming pitchers for the Yankees, and they're going to be vying for rotational spots? I see Kluber being a great leader for those two gentlemen, because they're going to be fighting for spots. And I really think that Kluber can bring a lot of professionalism to Garcia, to Schmidt, to some of these other guys, maybe even a Jordan Montgomery. Yeah. And I think that Luis Severino, he's been there. This guy's a gamer. I mean, Sevy's a gamer. He knows what he's got to do. I want to see Kluber not only interact with Severino and an all-star like Garrett Cole. I want to see Kluber maybe show some tricks to a David Garcia or a Clark Schmidt. And that's where I think that leadership could come in with him.
Yeah, that's great, Brett. Phenomenal analysis again on that. Folks, I want to say this. Brett Labor, I have had a lot of guests come on this show, some of them more prepared than others, but Brett brings his A game every single time. If I ask him a question, I have no doubt that not only will he be able to answer it, but give me facts and reasons as to why he believes that, which is huge. That's all I ask. Just come prepared.
Thank you.
Just come prepared. And Brett comes prepared every time.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's a great time. So the next question is Gary Sanchez. The Sanchez, the Kraken, as you call him as well, too, you Yankee fans there. Is this season kind of a prove-it season for Gary Sanchez? Obviously, there is not a single person that is going to deny his power. For catchers, he has arguably the most power in the game.
Absolutely.
But hitting consistently and the defense has been a little bit of a question of concern for him. So do you think this year, even maybe they go as far as up to the All-Star break, is Gary Sanchez potentially a player that's on the trading block for him?
You hit the nail on the head there. My thoughts on Gary Sanchez is this is my last straw for him personally, and I think for an organization. I've been the biggest believer in Gary Sanchez here. Everyone else wants to get rid of him. Not everyone, but I like to look at Twitter comments and people, get rid of Sanchez, start Kyle Higashioka, anyone else, JT Realmuto, sign him. I've been the biggest believer, and even I'm coming on my last patience just because I'm not seeing the average. The power's there, but I need to see some more average. I need to see better defensively. Just a little bit too much. He got better last year at defense. He did, and I think the effort's there. Pudge Rodriguez made an interesting. The great Hall of Famer Pudge Rodriguez made an interesting comment the other day saying Gary Sanchez, he's not enjoying baseball right now. And I thought about that, and I'm like, you know what? That might be a good observation. Can we get some fun back into the Kraken again? Back when this guy was hitting bombs and putting the fear as a catcher. So I would like to see him have more fun again. But you're absolutely right in that this is a prove-it year. I don't know if we're going to bring him back. If he bats 180 with a couple of errors again, this is it. And I hope he proves that my faith in him, because this guy, when he's playing his best, top 3 catcher, when he's at his best.
Right. Which has not been a whole lot of that lately, but I would probably agree with that. As far as catchers go, if he is at his best, he's probably top 3. That's a fair statement to say. So for Gary Sanchez, could you see him potentially? Now it's tough because the Yankees have a lot of really good hitters. If defensively he is struggling, just maybe kind of permanently move him to a DH role? Or do you think the DH role is kind of more locked up for Stanton or, Judge occasionally? What do you think?
Yeah, I could see us putting a little bit more DH in him. The only problem with putting him at DH, I like that when he plays catcher, it gets him more involved in the game a little bit. I like that it keeps his mind on baseball. He gets some camaraderie with the pitchers. Now, you're right. If he kind of struggles on defense, we'll put him at DH. If that will only happen, Lucas, if we have injuries to an outfielder, we could put Stanton in left field or Hicks in left, whatever the case, and then we put Sanchez at DH with injuries. No injuries, Sanchez is our catcher, and I like that he can get involved in the game all innings, all the time, instead of being on DH and sitting on the bench. I don't think that's good for him.
And I would probably agree with that too. I think if you can keep him at catcher for sure. So move over to another Yankees player, Giancarlo Stanton. Kind of along the same question that I had for Gary Sanchez. I think maybe you have a little bit longer of a leash for Stanton just because you can see what he has done and has done it consistently at times. But if Stanton has another injury-riddled season and then, a season where he's hitting okay, what do the Yankees do? Do you think they keep on him a little bit longer, or do you think they let him go?
My leash is longer for Giancarlo Stanton, and I've been even a bigger believer in Giancarlo Stanton. Here's the fact of the matter is, I think he's actually been a pretty good hitter in his time in New York. The injuries are the big one. He's missing way too many games. Again, if he stays healthy, I'm just asking 120 games, maybe even 110. He's been very good. I'd like to keep him on. Everyone thinks it's the worst contract right now in baseball, where we got our hands tied behind our backs. I think his ceiling is so high. You have to keep him on and believe in him with the power numbers him and Judge can have. It's no one else has that type of power, raw power, than Judge and Stanton at its core. You have those two guys in the lineup, it's huge. And my indicator, you like stats, my indicator for Giancarlo is look at what he did in the postseason. That's a little glimpse into the future. This guy was mashing. He had a breakout year. He had like 6, 7, 8 home runs, whatever it was, in the postseason. And he only did that in a couple of rounds. That showed me he's locked in. I have complete faith in Giancarlo Stanton. I want him here for the long term. I want to see him mash 4 home runs. And I want to bring him a World Series because I think he's working really hard.
Yeah.
And last year's postseason showed me this guy's a gamer. That was his bugaboo. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely give him more chances because, like you said, you have seen what he has been able to do, and he has done it consistently. And then the final piece for the Yankees player, Garrett Cole. Obviously, last season was the first year of the mega deal that he signed with the Yankees the offseason before. Ended up finishing 7-3 with a 284 earned run average. This is probably an easy answer, but any regrets with the contract yet?
No, Lucas, I do not.
That's what I thought, but I figured I'd ask anyways, just in case.
Yeah.
So now we'll move on to some predictions. Everybody loves some good predictions. Next season, everything that we have heard is pointing towards probably a 162 game season, which is nice.
Okay. Yep.
So where do you see the Yankees finishing regular season wise? We'll start first.
Well, last year I think I came on this show and I said we win 113 games, and that was my hot take that we both thought was a little out there. And maybe thank you for a shortened season for not making me look dumb, because clearly we weren't on that pace in 60 games or whatever. So I'm going to tamper my expectations. I'm going to say with our rotation right now, I say we get 98 wins. 98 wins. Obviously, I think we could win 100. In fact, I'd like to keep 100 alive because Aaron Boone is on his win streak of how many games he's won in his first how many seasons is incredible. I'll say 98 wins, win the AL East, and get a home field advantage at least for the first round. So I think that anywhere from 98 to 101 is very reasonable.
I'm going to give the Yankees 91 wins.
That's a little low.
It is. Now, the only reason I say that is we don't know the health-wise. Severino, if Severino is healthy, Judge is healthy, Sanchez is back to form, I think that's the big three right there. That is the big three for the players. For the Yankees, I have a lot of question marks. I do think the Yankees will win around 100 games. So let me make that disclaimer. I think if those guys are healthy and are back to playing like we know they have been able to, I do think the Yankees could flirt with 100 wins this season. But they have not been those players the past couple seasons, and for that reason, I'm going to give them 91. So like I said, if they are healthy and playing at their best, they are probably dang near close to a 100-win team.
Well, here's the thing, Lucas. Respect to your 91 wins. But here's why it comes off crazy in my mind. I'm going to take it back to 2019, just quickly here, if I may.
Yep.
That year we won 103 games. Giancarlo Stanton didn't play at all that season. Dellin Betances was a 4-time All-Star. He didn't play at all that season. Luis Severino barely played that season. Didi Gregorius was hurt for half the season. Luke Voit missed time. Aaron Judge missed over 60 games. Clint Frazier was on the IL. We were missing Gio Urshela for part of that season. Gary Sanchez barely played. We won 103 games, Lucas. So you're talking about injury concerns. This roster is that good. Easily 90. I'm not even saying 103. 98 wins minimum. Even if we have a barrage of injuries, I think that we can do it.
Okay. Again, Brett bringing the stats and bringing the knowledge here. That's why I appreciate that. That's a good thing it's a good thing to think about. I may have to reconsider my prediction for the Yankees after that. I knew that they have had a lot of injury-riddled players the last few seasons. I guess I must have forgotten that when they won 103, all those players were hurt at some point too. So
it was incredible.
I may have to reconsider that a little bit, but I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
So, into the playoffs, how far do you see the Yankees going?
Again, me being a homer on the show, but that's my goal. Can I say World Series? Am I allowed to say World Series? Yeah, that's me. Let me say World Series. Do I say it every year? Maybe I do, but I'm not afraid to come on here and rep my flag and say that. Here's why now. I try to back it up here. Last year we lost to the Rays, and we were going to beat the Astros. We were better. We were sorry. We're going to be better than Tampa Bay, I think, because they lost Ian Snell or Blake Snell.
Yep, Blake Snell.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's someone else, and Charlie Morton. So I think that's our biggest hurdle. If we get to the World Series, we're winning it. I just think that because you get to the big time, I think that's when you're going to see Judge and Garrett Cole shine their brightest. The problem is getting out of the American League. We just can't get out of the American League because we keep losing in a championship series or divisional series. And I think we're by far the best team in the American League. I just think we're better than Tampa. And if we get home field and it's back in the Bronx, look out. We all know how big the Bronx is. I think our biggest threat is the Chicago White Sox. That's my ALCS prediction. So with the White Sox being our biggest threats, they're inexperienced. I think in a 7-game series with Chicago, it doesn't matter if they have Tony La Russa. I think that we're the better team. We get to the World Series. Doesn't matter who we're playing. We get to the World Series. We're winning it. That's my prediction. I'm repping it. This is the year. Come on. This had to be the year, Lucas. I mean, the Dodgers, every year, everyone kept saying LA. Guess what? They finally broke through. Yep. It's only a matter of time before it's our turn.
Yeah, that's a good point. Every single year, everyone said the Dodgers, maybe the Yankees. Well, the Yankees have not been to the World Series yet. Dodgers have had a few chances, but the Yankees, I strongly believe if everyone plays like they can, this is going to be probably the hardest team to beat in the American League. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying all of baseball. The Padres have improved a lot. The Dodgers are a great team. But, as far as the American League goes, truly I do believe that the Yankees could be the team to beat coming in the next season. And I feel very strongly saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to see what happens. Happens.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and we'll probably revisit this at the end of the season and talk about it again next year for the 2022 season again. But anyways, Brett, I think we're at the end of the show here.
Okay.
So first off, I like to ask the fun questions. Obviously we've asked you before, your favorite player is Derek Jeter. We all know that. So this one is a little different. What is your favorite Yankees moment?
Favorite Yankees moment.
All time.
I hesitate to just throw out, winning the World Series, but is that not the World Series? Is that not it? I mean, I think about the last game at Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium. I think about Derek Jeter's walk-off hit that I saw live in my dorm room freshman year. I just think that when you tell them that World Series was just a magical run. I remember game 6, and it has to be the World Series, final answer. Just that last, the the game 6, I remember it was a school night. I was, doing my homework and just seeing, Mariano Rivera close it out and the grounder to Robinson Cano, throwing it over. And that was like my first ever World Big Championship as a fan of any team. And so I was like, we're on top. I mean, looking around and saying, we just won the World Series. How could that not be my favorite Yankee moment? Just because of how cool it was to see the group of guys, the core four, win it all. I was an 8th grader. It was very neat. That has to be my favorite. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's probably a lot of Yankees fans, maybe the younger Yankees fans' favorite moment, but you watch your team win a World Series, it's got to be an electric feeling for sure. Do you have, now this one may be a little more difficult, so if you can't think of it, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite baseball moment that was not on the Yankees, just in general, from any team, any player, anything that you have seen that you were like, man, that was really cool, that was not on the Yankees?
Mm-hmm. Something that really struck me that I thought was, and this came up to the top of my head first, and that must mean it's pretty good. When the unfortunate passing of the late great Jose Fernandez, did I get that right, from the Marlins?
Yeah.
When D. Gordon hit that home run, there was something magical in the air that I got chills right now here, Lucas. Just thinking about, he said he's never, apologies to D if I misquote him, have hit a ball that far in his life. Not a power hitter at all.
No.
Hits that leadoff home run, him trotting around the bases. Oh, and the emotion and getting the home plate. That is just like magic in the air. And to see him do that for his teammates from Miami, and to see it, incredible. D. Gordon's leadoff home run for Jose Fernandez has to be at the top of my list.
I like that a lot. I'm not sure a lot of people would go that route because it wasn't like a playoff game. It wasn't a no-hitter. It was something that meant a lot more to a lot of people. That was obviously a very tragic situation when it happened to him, Jose Fernandez, that is. And yeah, D. Gordon, I can remember, like, in my head right now, I can have, like, image flashbacks of that hit. Right field in the upper deck off of Bartolo Colon, and just him bawling around the bases, crying his eyes out was, it's giving me chills now too thinking about it, because that was such a surreal moment, and it was cool to watch. It was cool to watch for sure. Well, anyways, Brett, thank you for coming on. Do you have any other MLB news or Yankees talk or anything that you want to bring up while you're here? I guess the floor is yours right now.
I always like to, a goal of mine, would be a part of the Yankees PR team, or not the Yankees PR, but social media content. Anyone who likes baseball, follow John Boy, who does the lip readings and the arguments on Twitter. This guy, he has podcasts, he talks Yankees, he's got his buddies. He's the best in the game when it comes to, if you want to see a manager getting thrown out and you want to see what was really being said, he does an analysis on what led to fights, all of that stuff. He's great. Shout out to him. Maybe one day I can be on his level in terms of Yankees talk. But other than that, I'm ready for the season. I think we got a complete squad. I think we're not going to get Bauer. We're not going to get Luis Castillo. I think we're done with pretty much our moves, and we're ready to start baseball.
Yeah, you and everybody else as well too. We are very ready for baseball, and I cannot wait for it to come on. So now, Brett, if you want to give out your social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to do. So where can fans find you to talk some Yankees with you?
Yeah, I keep it pretty simple. Twitter, my name, Brett Labore, BrettLabore, capital Bore. I like a lot of things. Not as big of a tweeter as maybe other people like Lucas are, but if you go to my likes, I like anything related to us, and that's where I am at.
Well, that's awesome, Brett. So thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it big time. I hope you had a good time again coming on, because I did, as always. You will definitely be on in the future.
Yep. Thank you, Lucas, for having me. I love talking to Yankees.
Absolutely. Well, folks, if you would like to follow myself or Nick on Twitter, you can follow me at Lucas_Dorton, capital L, capital D. Or if you want to follow Nick at Doetkott. And if you want to follow our Twitter page for the podcast, it is at DND_podcast, capital D's, capital P for that. Be sure to listen to this podcast and all the other ones that we've put out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, share it with your friends, family. Any way that you can get the name out there and then try and blow it up is huge, and we appreciate everything. But this is the end of episode 43. And as for Brett Labor and myself, Lucas Dorton, until next time, we are out.